Welcome back to Apex Season 4, ladies and gentlemen. We just decided our last group, and now we've got Group C, GC Busan versus Afreeca Freecs, to decide who is going to be the second team promoted through under LW Red, who have already been solidified in that first spot.
Yeah, LW Red were the triumphant team in challenges as well. They came in undefeated so far, undefeated this season as well, so a lot to be hyped about when it comes to LW Red. Now we're looking for the second place team, and it'd be a surprise to see Afreeca Freecs, formerly Afreeca Freecs Blue, of course now the only roster in a second place spot, but that's the best they can do. And without Mano on the lineup, they've been good, but not as good as LW Red. Whereas GC Busan kind of remind me of the Foxes, these challenger teams. We're still learning about them. It feels too fast for it to already be an elimination match for them, but already they need to beat Afreeca Freecs or their season ends tonight.
Yeah, thankfully we are going to get a team through from Challenger here as well, because, I mean, we were guaranteed there were 3 of them in this group with the Afreeca Freecs. Yep. Interestingly enough, the fact that LW Red are now secured means that we may not even have them making it out when they were going for the perfect season in Season 3. Oh, how things have changed for the Afreeca Freecs. And is Mano really all that we can talk about as far as what has changed for that team? Because yes, losing him was a huge deal, but is it LW Red being good? Is GC Busan now going to show us that, you know, there was score lines between LW Red and GC Busan that was making them look like they were relatively closer than they could have otherwise been, because the last time those two teams met, it was actually a victory, I believe, very early on in the Challenger's run-through for GC Busan, who were on like a 4-match winning streak or something like that.
I mean, you and I know there's a very exciting point to discuss when we actually get to the lineups that could influence, because apparently Afreeca agree and have made a pretty big change when it comes to lineup that we'll announce in a moment. When we talk about Breck, who has been their Winston player so far this season, he hasn't been Mano, which is unfair. It's unfair to compare the team career Winston to a Winston player coming from a different squad, rising up in terms of teams and joining Afreeca Freecs. But they just didn't really have the same kind of splendor they had in Season 3, because they were a wonderful team to watch during that undefeated time. They've come crashing down to earth a little bit. They've been trying the Sombra quite a lot early in the piece, and we said, okay, Arhan, we haven't seen the Doomfist from you, and he played it next time out, but even though he's a famous Genji, it felt like the famous Doomfist didn't find the same sort of value. He actually lost the Doomfist battle to Hureg on LW Red, so there's still a lot to be decided. The meta has shifted, the lineup has shifted, and the end result is Afreeca Freecs not being the same dominant force, other than the fact that you can look into the crowd and see Arhan signs. There's still a lot to like about the squad. They're a likable bunch. Yeah, and Arhan's got a hell of a lot of fans there as well. And Recry, another player that certainly needs no introduction. His basically hit scan play has been phenomenal. Oh my god, some of the artwork, I feel like all of the artists just come to watch Apex just so that they can get their artwork free advertisement. Looks like a big Lucid fan there with the Afreeca Zenyatta. But it seems like the other side is saying there's going to be some tears coming out of the Afreeca Freecs, and Recry in particular.
Oh, dear.
Love the creative stuff here we get at Apex, but one team is certainly going to be crying Atlas. The tears will be flowing from one side, as just like in our first match, it is that elimination phase, and it's a long time since we might see these teams playing again. We don't even know when the next season will take place.
Yeah, that's true. And we were talking last time around about new players as well coming into rosters and trying to sort themselves out around that. And we spoke about it for the last squad that we saw that were just not able to make it work, all right? Kongdo Unsia, whole bunch of new players, although the names were good, didn't manage to figure it all out. On the side of the Afreeca Freecs, they only have a couple, and a few of them are sitting on the bench as well. So not necessarily having to make the same level of adjustment. GC Busan, I mean, there is only one new player that's going to be playing in the main roster here tonight. So certainly able to play with each other for a very long time and get that synergy, get that coordination sorted out. I feel like the coordination factor in our last series is not going to be as prevalent here in this series tonight.
And while usually, if you have a team of 6, changing one piece won't necessarily change the face, we learned when LW Blue was struggling, they couldn't have their Winston player play, where they had to have Luna at the time come in and play Winston. How much can change when the Winston player changes? And feels like the main tank, which we just saw the woes of a team with a main tank issue in the first series, can really change the face of the team, and it seems to have changed Afreeca Freecs.
Well, we'll see whether it's going to continue, because this is the last battle. Let's hear from the players.
옆쪽에서 넷넷. 장갑까지 닦고. 와! 넷넷.
지난 시즌 3위 팀을 빠낸 거예요.
네.
승격팀이요? 그런 거 필요 없어요. 그냥 잘하는 데가 잘하는 겁니다. 보셨잖아요, MVP 스페이스가 너한테 이기는 거.
우와, MVP 스페이스 지난 디펜딩 챔피언을.
제가 에이펙스 뛰면서 처음으로 느꼈던 패배였기 때문에 그냥 아무 말도 없었어요. 다시는 느끼고 싶지 않은 분위기입니다.
화면의 일격으로 그냥 끝내버리네요.
화면의 일격이 대체?
아니 오늘 주인공은 다른 사람 다 필요 없어. 후레기예요.
LW 레드전이랑 했을 때 솔직히 둠피스트에 너무 제가 많이 죽었거든요. 연습하다 보니까 둠피스트가 사기인 걸 알겠는 거예요. 이번 시즌에 둠피스트를 쓸 줄 모르는 팀이 있다면 그거는 그냥 승강전 갈 것 같아요. 아프리카 브릭스는 솔직히 딜러 브릭스거든요. 딜러밖에 없어요. 이번에 탱커 2명이 나가고 브렉 칼리오스님이 들어오셨잖아요. 그것만 봐서는 일단 저희 팀이 탱커가 우세하다고 생각을 해요. 솔직히 디바 메타에 칼리오스님이 힘쓸까 싶고.
후레기예요, 후레기예요? 누군진 모르겠는데 그 선수 오발못이네. GC부산 딱히 생각해본 적이 없는데 둠피스트 뭐 사기캐로 가까스로 1승 가져간 팀이라고 생각을 해요.
둠피스트 포지션이 야르한 선수니까 이번에 저랑 대결 한번 할 것 같아요. 1라운드 만에 빼게 해드릴게요. 겐지 원체 마세요.
비빌 때 비비세요. 어딜 비벼. 예상 스코어는 당연히 3대 0이죠. 저희는 저 시즌 3등이거든요. 그 차이가 무엇인지 진지하게 보여드릴게요.
저희가 3대 0으로 이깁니다. 첫 에이펙스인데 8강 한번 올라가서 일 내고 싶어요. 이번 경기를 지면 한 명 짐 싼다는 생각으로 게임할 것 같아요. 이번에 그냥 탈락하고 부산 온나 비행기 한 대 보내줄게.
이제 3번 오셨으면 설명을 다 하셨잖아요. 숙소에서 온라인 경기 하세요. GC부산은 온라인이 딱이야.
Overwatch Apex Season 4, energized by Hot 6. Round Robin. Today's matchup, GC Busan, Afreeca Freecs.
Damn, that was some hella smack talk, Pub Smithy.
We call it trash talk, and sometimes it's a bit tame, sometimes it is vicious. And both these guys lost our first trash talk night of the season because of the accelerated calendar. Came at the perfect time because suddenly we know this is a match for blood. The standings already said that. We know that the winner goes through, the loser goes home. It's a long trip to Busan. Train to Busan is both an awesome movie and a very long journey if they go back. But just like the Afreeca Freecs mentioned, Kalios mentioned, GC Busan is sponsored by Air Busan, one of the low-cost airlines here in Korea, the sister of Asiana, an international airline. So there's a big sponsor here, and even though people know the name of Afreeca Freecs, GC Busan wants to make clear they are no joke.
Yeah, we also heard the fans in the audience as well, able to get over here. Not sure whether they traveled all the way from Busan, but they are starting to make waves here in Apex, and it would be sad to wave goodbye to them. Looking over the other side, we don't want to lose the Afreeca Freecs either. It's going to be sad and happy on both sides of this matchup, depending on the result. But there are certainly still some things that we need to discuss. We're not going to break the news just yet, but it's an exciting one as far as roster. Not so much here for GC Busan, as you're not seeing some unfamiliar faces on this squad for now.
They have been playing around with Woohyal and Ariel on the sub-tank or D.Va Zarya position. They seem to have settled on Ariel for this particular match. Not really too much to tell between the two. I was a bigger fan of Wu Hyao, but Ario's got the little smile that lets you know that he is a little bit nervous. Atlas in this elimination match.
Although Wu Yao's only played 12 minutes so far of Apex.
Sure. I liked what I saw from him, but Ario...
It was a good 12 minutes.
You can only show what you can show. It's the DPS duo from the side of GC Busan that I've been most impressed with. Hurig and Prophet may have been out-dueled by Wicked and the LW Red lineup, but have shown a lot. They were able to pound into the ground the Rocks Orcas on their last time of asking, so it's largely where I expect them to play around. A lot of mess talking about Doomfist, and the Doomfist meta clearly is enacted this season.
Yeah.
Hureg was second to Wicked, but he has been one of our best Doomfist players. And Hureg has been able to level up as well, so what will the Doomfist battle be? Because we know we'll see plenty of it from Busan.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we are in a bit of a time capsule here, still being on that Doomfist release patch where he's pretty bonkers strong, able to punch people all the way out pretty quickly without too much of a hoo-ha. So yeah, having Hureg being able to hop onto that one and challenge Ahan, who hasn't been as impressive on that hero just yet. But it's been some time. I could imagine that he might be able to play it, or a certain change-up might be able to play it.
And that's, you say it triumphantly, and yes, nominally he's their Genji and Doomfist player, but this is a different lineup coming through. Breck, their main tank player, will not be playing for map 1. Interestingly, they replaced Breck with Tidollar, which is not a like-for-like change. Tidollar, famous for Apex Challengers Genji play, is also played the diva role on the Ross Orcas, but then you cast your mind who else they have. The man talking all the mess, Kalios, is their diva player. So I believe Kalios, for the first time, will have to play main tank for the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, and it's like when they played against the Rocks Orcas, they were playing for keeps, because they kept Tidollar afterwards, came over straight from the Rocks Orcas. Of course, was previously on Afreeca Freecs Red, and this guy defines flex player. He could be playing anything. I have no idea what it's going to be for this team.
Yeah, and he could also be on the Winston, right? The Winston player here is really up in the air. We had a similar situation with Runaway, and then we all remained puzzled and annoyed that Haksal was on the Winston. Yeah. We're no closer to knowing. Will we see another famous Genji player flexing onto the Winston? We don't have that information. It may even change map to map, but all we know is that Breck is on the bench, and Inyoung, who played for IDK in the last time out to LW Red, will start on the bench. It will be the return of IDK as the Lucio.
And will they play like some sort of crazy composition where you've got Ahan's Genji, which is famous for. Tidollar may have been secretly in some sort of bunker practicing the Doomfist. You got some crazy Genji Doomfist shenanigans with Recry in the backline on the Soldier, playing triple DPS. I don't know, man. But it could be exciting.
Last we saw, they were running the Doomfist McCree in. Recry, renowned McCree player.
Oh, yeah.
Lijiang Tower, actually, I don't know if we've even been there all season. That has been by far
a long time.
The lowest played control map. So let's go to China. Let's enjoy some Lijiang. The blood is in the water. We knew it from the trash talk. We know it from where the groups are. I hope we get all 5 maps and this one goes the distance.
Yeah, I certainly hope so too. And I'm really glad that we start on Lijiang Tower, because each map they're going to show something different as well. Different compositions being available on each different map type. And I certainly hope we get to see all 3 from these teams, because these first couple of games, especially when it's control and it's so much more even than a lot of the other map types as far as defense and offense, things like that, we are going to start by getting that gut check in the right spot as well.
The gut check comes early. It was perfect group stage, perfect until it wasn't for Afreeca. They've already bled once. They went down to LW Red. Now we learn their straps. They need to earn their way to the next round.
Yeah, have to get themselves amongst it, starting off with Lijiang Tower. See who's going to be the one to make it happen, whether GC Busan can start out fists ablazing, and whether Hureg, his smack talk, he was certainly able to talk the talk, but can he walk the walk as we get onto Lijiang Tower for our first control point map? Let's get there right now. Okay, well I thought that I was in danger of losing my voice. There is one who is definitely already losing it in the audience, but Afreeca fans desperate for their team to hold on.
Football saying leave it all on the pitch, and this is the time. This is the time for them to get hyped because they may not get another time after today to cheer for a long time, Atlas. We may be done with Overwatch for 2017. That remains to be decided. Who leaves remains to be decided. Opening Farah here is Recry, another one of his pockets, so will not be any Doomfist on the side of Afreeca Freecs. Given this particular map, though, it's hard to run Doomfist with all the exposed air. So we won't see it, at least for the start.
Yeah, now question marks for Ty-Dollar. He is on Winston duty now as Recry hunting for mercies.
Ty-Dollar main tank, Kalios remains as the sub-tank, and Hurek first to lose out on the Pharmacy duo.
Yeah, Recry just showing that his aim is still pretty good. Whether it's hit scan or projectile, he's able to make that work. And Ahan, the front line, or well, the DPS line for Afreeca Freecs still showing that they are top tier. This will be the first cap for Afreeca Freecs quite easily.
First question mark was comparing the hero pool when it comes to the Farah. First answer is from Recry, famous for his Farah play in earlier seasons of Apex, so that part works out. Afreeca famously don't have a main Tracer player. They swap it around to Arhan this time.
Yeah, he's going to throw in a pulse bomb, not actually find any joy with it whatsoever. Still able to get a decent amount of damage in, and it's Recry just wreaking terror from the skies. Hureg is going to fall once again. The help of some boosted attacks with Rocket and Kalios going to be able to chase down closer. This is a bloodbath on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. They are toying with Jisoo Busan and still winning.
Only one of the teams could actually follow their words, follow their fire, and so far it has been the Afreeca Freecs. Recry in particular, always understated, always forgotten, despite being such a consistent star for the Afreeca Freecs. Is bossing it up on the Farah, winning the Pharmacy duo off his own back again and again. Lucid has had the res for a long time, but not been forced to use it. Well, watching Prophet on the ground in the Tracer battle.
Absolutely no one dying as well means that you're certainly not going to have to use that as sound barrier is going to be opted in for, just to make sure that they can try and win this one out. Hurek does finally find himself a kill, but immediately Ahan comes back up. Gesture, no res available for IDK, and finally Jisoo Busan are finding some action. Not even losing anyone, so Hagopyeon not going to have to use his res. We're going to have that recap at 80% for the Afreeca Freecs, and now it starts ticking up for Jisoo Busan. It felt like it was so much control for the Afreeca Freecs, but thankfully for Jisoo Busan fans, there is the turnaround, and Hureg wipes the sweat off his brow after all of that smack that he was talking.
Garden has been excited so far. We saw Busan dodge onto the point, and for once, Afreeca Freecs couldn't fight a 6, and that went poorly as Hurek opens up with the barrage, gets the mech at least.
Yeah, so Kalio's going to lose that one. Unfortunate, because normally you want to be pointing your mech towards that. They're able to grab a few more. Ariel's going to lose his mech as
Recry
well,
hits
though.
the midair.
Yeah. Okay, does take down Hurek, but immediately he's going to get rezzed. Hagopyeon, the single-man res may not be the option here as Primal Rage has been popped. Gesture also getting some work done, but can Ty-Dollar find any more? No. Looks like Gesture, he's going to throw down his ultimate and try and smash people off the edge of Lijiang Tower.
All alone, trying to buy space. The rest of his team falling around him. This time doesn't have the ult. Wasn't able to delay enough to get a proper formation. Not quite the full cap to Freecs, but they almost have it.
Yeah, very, very close. Just need to get some position here as Mercy so close to falling to Recry's damage, trying to get himself back into a position where he can threaten that heal.
What enough time for Busan to get back on the point. It's crazy that the flip never happened.
Yeah, and we've got the D.Va mech and D.Va falling down. Oh, the trade of kills as the Rockets travel through
Lucid
both
dies
of them.
with res up.
Res not up yet for Hagopyeon, so they're not able to capitalize completely here. But Ahan has to get out of the way of this point, and they have to get off. Oh god, that is so much they have to tick back up yet again. And we've got the switch over. We've got 90% now for Jisoo Busan. This might be the cap here. And Afreeca Freecs were looking so dominant at the beginning. The tenacity from Jisoo Busan to turn that all around. Here's the overtime. And here's the attempt from Afreeca Freecs. They've got the sound barrier. They're going to try and use that to retake this point.
Yeah, all ults up here almost for the Afreeca Freecs. Frustrated they didn't have the res. Lucid got a bit greedy, looking for a multi-man res when he didn't need to. He's going to live for now. in range of one. I'll get the second though. It doesn't actually get the res on the Winston.
Okay, looking for it, does find closer, and that is going to be that. Gesture's going to be able to make his way in, just launches his way through. You can see, does have the Primal Rage. He's going to take a lot of punishment before he has to press that button as Prophet has to get the hell out of there.
Lucid dies with res again.
Oh my goodness, and here's Hurek getting a lot of work done. Good defense matrix to stop a lot of that barrage damage, but Recry, he's going to kill himself, unfortunately, and Afreeca Freecs, they are getting wiped out. Lucid needs to get back to this point, but he can't. And that is going to be map number 1 taken by GC Busan.
We've been struck in recent maps about how often you get single-man reses, and this is the sort of game where you see why. Felt like Lucid was always looking for the spot to get more, but never got anything, was assassinated twice with res up. I believe we only saw a single res, maybe none, on that map from Lucid. Didn't get full value out of the pharmacy. Great thing about Lijiang is that we probably will see very different comps as we move on to the other maps though, so maybe another configuration will work better for the Freecs, but the start of that map was all about Recry winning the pharmacy battle, but by the end it didn't matter because they mismanaged a lot of important ultimates.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been a little bit of arrogance perhaps halfway through that point, and then GC Busan capitalized beautifully, but
Look at this.
now we'll see what we can get done.
Recry is actually opening on the Doomfist this time, so Arhan on Tracer duty, Recry preferred on the Doomfist.
Yeah, and Arhan, of course, was the resident Tracer in our last one, and Afreeca Freecs have always been a team that can switch up the Tracer play depending on what they wanted. When it was Genji Tracer, it was certainly Arhan who was on the Genji duty, and Recry playing that Tracer a lot of the time. Oh, it's going to be
a tete-a-tete.
Headbutt.
Yep.
I like it. Prophet going to grab a couple though, and Recry, despite slipping and falling over, he's going to die along with Hurek as well. So this is what happens if you just headbutt one another. Generally, you're both going to fall down.
Zenyatta way out of position, so ult charge as a bonus. You can't even disengage here if you're the Afreeca Freecs after losing that first cap, so you give ult percentage over to the enemy, and Lucio also well overextended. Big delay, but crucially, ult percentage, Pulse Bomb already ready. The GC Busan and Prophet.
Yeah, Prophet actually playing fantastically well. He was one of the success stories for GC Busan in their first series here in Apex. We were wondering about how they were going to go with the switch from Challenger to Apex.
We won't learn everything on Control. Specifically, their Winston players left a lot to be desired when they get to Hybrid, so we'll reevaluate that, but so far so good. The Afreeca Freecs get a couple of opening kills.
Yeah, and I've actually ticked this over quite nicely. Okay, Hurek's going to jump up into the sky, but he's very, very low. We'll have to either get out of there, try and get something done as, okay. Yeah, he's going to die. That's a little bit unfortunate. I was like getting a bit excited for the Meteor Strike, and then he had absolutely no health, and he's just going to jump in and die. So getting that as a reset, but having to sacrifice that ult charge, I probably wouldn't have done it myself.
Yeah, no health, no friends. Like you say, dying with ult up there was more important than a couple of seconds of delay. We're watching now the perspective of Prophet, who's in the high ground, just looking to dive down and start the contest here for Busan.
Yeah, could have actually recalled back up there as well, but he was getting flanked out. You can see GC Busan jumping down from the top, and they've got 50% of their ultimates up, but that is matched by the Afreeca Freecs. Sound barriers there, Transcendence already being utilized by the Afreeca Freecs, and Hurek's going to start this one up by taking down Recry. He was calling him out, he was saying that he was the Doomfist, and so far he's been made to look pretty damn good. Still charging this one up, and they're getting this tick back. They're reclaiming control here. And if they get the 2-0, that is a huge statement against the team that won so many matches in a row in Season 3.
Rika able to reclaim and get 6 members again, so we're going to see another 6v6 battle on the point here.
Ariel actually looking pretty healthy, does get the big health back there as well as he scoots his way past, but that means there's no Diva for any sort of peel, and Afreeca Freecs immediately jump on that opportunity, pick up all of those kills, and then Ariel's just going to die in the end. So IDK looking fantastic on the Lucio, getting the boop off. See you later, GC Busan's tank line, and they're going to have to try again here with 75% already accrued for the Afreeca Freecs.
Impressive stuff for Afreeca to actually stay in formation, contesting the point as 5 while they waited for their 6th member to come back, and from there, nice coordinated dive works out. And speaking of dives, Doomfist into the backline. They actually blow up Gesture. Dies first in the fight again.
Yeah, and Tidal are actually getting that one started and coordinating really nicely with that pulse bomb that did come in. Ahan still doing some work as Lucid picks up Hureg, and that is a big deal. Hureg, we know what he controls for GC Busan. So much space and so much of the damage is on him, but looks like they are going to try and flip that script, getting a couple of kills back. The front line has been obliterated, and they get that switch up, despite the fact that Ahan was trying to be fancy to stop that retake.
Seems like it was well communicated by Afreeca, though. Lucid was sitting back, launching his left clicks, but thought better of using the Transcendence to buy time. They knew there wasn't a realistic chance they would actually claim it, so they're going to reform and look for a team fight victory. A lot open for Afreeca here. They have everything up other than the sound barrier and the self-destruct. Usually it's about the first dive from the Doomfist, but no one-shots yet.
Yeah, we do have the Transcendence coming out from GC Busan, and Lucid's going to answer pretty immediately. IDK doesn't have the sound barrier. Closer also very far away from it as Gesture. He's going to be able to pick up Lucid, but the kills are coming in thick and fast for the Afreeca Freecs. They're not fighting on the point, though, as we're ticking up to 95%. Afreeca Freecs are getting kills, but is this going to be enough? Self-destruct coming in there as they are looking to tick this one up. Overtime will happen for both sides. We saw it in our last series. It was hilarious how many switchovers we had in this overtime, and the kills are going everywhere for both teams. Switches are happening for different characters everywhere as Lucid's on the Soldier. We've got a Sombra here for some reason as Hagapyeon's actually getting some work done as well. Gesture's taken out though. Overtime's ticking down. Can't get on the point. And that is going to be that. Evening things out is the Afreeca Freecs, and we may have a series on our hands.
Does seem like it, Atlas. They were able to contest right at the end. I loved what Recry did, diving in, killing the Zenyatta, using his ult not to get damage, but to reposition onto the big health pack. They won that trade. They could go onto the point, 2 members up, and from there, likely to flip it, 99% already, able to tick it down. Recry on Doomfist is still a pretty big adjustment. Usually, the Genji player maps into very cleanly the Doomfist player, but at least for the second map of Lijiang Tower, we're seeing that the Afreeca Freecs' ability to reinvent themselves, despite being players who've been so long tenured in Apex, works really well. And it feels like map on map things can change. There is the nameplate. That is Arhan, who so far hasn't been on Genji, hasn't been on Doomfist, has been pretty consistent on the Tracer.
Yeah, and as we move away from Control, as this series goes on as well, Papa, I'm really excited to see what kind of comps they're going to run. With Recry being the one nominated for playing that Doomfist, they could be playing some of these Doomfist Genji compositions that we've seen work, as this is going to be Recry once again back on his famous Pharah from earlier seasons, and he's able to get the first opening kills and even chase a few more down. Survive to tell the tale.
I mean, some deadly accuracy. He's already at 83%.
Oh my god.
A couple of seconds in, got the 2 opening kills and nothing Busan could do. You see the switch on to Soldier to have an answer. So no McCree from Hureg, preferring the Soldier.
Did you see how casual he looked? Recry's just like, it's another day in the office, guys. Absolutely no worries. Profit trying to have another one of those as well, as Tidal is going to be taken down, but Lucid's going to utilize his res to grab that single man res.
That's what happens when you're boosting the rockets and they're all hitting. Here's the barrage.
Yeah, but he is going to get taken down, and GC Busan going to utilize that missed ultimate opportunity to destroy the Afreeca Freecs. That was a team wipe. That happened very quickly.
Overwatch can be a fickle game. We learned there.
Can.
Afreeca Freecs were in a great spot and then taken out. Lucid open with the res. It was a 6v6, but no value from the barrage. Recry, interestingly, will stay onto the Pharah. Could just expect Busan to duck onto the point and avoid the sight lines for the rockets, but at least the opening salvo, they'll be powerful.
Yeah, wants to be able to use that concussive, knock people off edges as well as, Ahan's going to lose the Tracer battle. Bad news for Afreeca Freecs fans, but GC Busan looking to try and hold on as they are going to tick over what Afreeca Freecs were able to initially gather. And Recry going on a huge journey around the buildings.
Trying to regroup with his team a little bit. At least have other threats before just being alone.
Jumping his way down, not wanting to bother with these, as Hureg's going to take down Tidal. Unfortunately, he hasn't necessarily found the success that maybe we were expecting from this guy, because Tidal was certainly a worthwhile person to be watching.
I mean, he's a great player, but even if you're flexible, Winston is such a competitive only hero when it comes to performance at the highest stage, at the Apex stage. Luna found the same thing when he was forced into the role. those timings are going to be so important for contesting payloads. Right now, even on control, they're a bit of a struggle as Hureg's got his first tac visor.
Yeah, we've got Sound Barrier coming in as well. They're investing a lot just to make sure that the Afreeca Freecs die, and they are going to definitely do that. It's only Kalios left alive, and I believe he's on a respawn mission. Actually, just going to commit suicide, so sad times. Kahan does the same thing, and Afreeca Freecs need another go, but I think they've only got one more in them. 80% now for GC Busan. And they've had this in a stranglehold so far.
And they had 6 ults, 3 used in the first round. They'll have 3 left to stop Afreeca Freecs when they look for their overtime contest. We already had 1 giant killing today. There's still that chance that Afreeca Freecs go out of groups.
Yeah, well, they now have the sound barrier there, but thankfully Hagapyeon, like you said, had his ultimate available. Kalios is going to get 1 kill onto Hureg, though. The self-destruct able to lock that one down. We know that Hureg is so important, and look at this tick-up. Afreeca Freecs should be able to get their switch over in the overtime, but we know how hard it can be. They've still got 70% to get, and GC Busan aren't even letting them take control. Ariel's on this point. He's going to get taken out of the mech, but no, he actually has the self-destruct there. They want to get this tick down, and they should be able to do it as well.
No one else here.
GC Busan, they do it. They go up 1-0. Control, maybe not necessarily the best barometer to figure this one out, but damn, that is a statement to start this thing off.
It's just such a risk to bring in a new player on primary tank in an elimination game, and I don't know necessarily it gets any easier when we hit hybrid or escort either, Atlas. It's difficult to work out those exact timings. That's why Luxury Watch Blue, that looked like gods at the start of the season, started to fade away when Giannis couldn't play in the postseason in the round of 8 onwards. And now Breck is going to be sitting on, watching on, and you have to wonder, do Afreeca Freecs persist with this? Because they would have had to put significant scrim time in to prefer Ty Dollar to start. The what-ifs about Afreeca Freecs in this series, they really do continue.
Yeah. Quite worried. They do have 2 subs. Breck or Inyoung could come in if they want to bring him instead. IDK, though, he was not part of that problem. Ty Dollar, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure whether we can really judge it from just a 2-1 on control. Had some decent moments, had some poor moments. Now we're going to find out, so no tac pauses, no nothing, and we're going to be heading straight to Numbani for our first hybrid of the day.
Interestingly, this is a map where you can run triple DPS on offense pretty freely, Atlas, and that's still something available to Afreeca Freecs, especially on attack. Ty Dollar could move on to something like the Genji, and they could try that triple DPS, but Numbani is often an attacker's paradise. See what they do here as GC Busan going to be so surprised, and will they be the second Challengers team today, or former Challengers team, we should say, going into the first break 2-0.
Yeah, they could be doing it. Numbani is the choice that has been made by the Afreeca Freecs, though. So certainly should be an opportunity for them to pull one back. We'll see whether they can make it 1-1, or whether you're right, it's going to be another match point for a Challengers team.
I get it.
Desperation, certainly, in the cheers of the Afreeca Freecs fans, but they're only 1 down. Should be fine.
I'm going to be a bit more reserved in my expectations, because my experience so far has been that changing the Winston is perhaps the most important role. You can change your Lucio, that's usually fine. You can change one of your DPS. In fact, many of our squads have at least 3 DPS players in their 7 or 8 man rosters, but Winston's a different beast. Winston is so important, and the power and control of the Afreeca Freecs Blue in Season 3 was built around Mano, who was always on point with those dives in as Winston, and you can't really hold Ty Dollar to the same standard, but they need to. We need to, because this match is elimination.
Yeah. And he wasn't necessarily all that was wrong with what Afreeca Freecs were doing, and it was still a relatively close series as far as control was concerned, so we'll give him another go to figure this one out.
They were being innovative with their hero choices as well, but this is a duo as old as day. Genji from Arhan, Recry is on the Soldier. They're on Ultra Comfort here, makes sense after they rolled the dice on Lee Jung-tao.
Yeah, and at the beginning I actually thought that it was going to be a bit of fan service as Ahan and Recry on their signature choices, but it is going to be what they're going to stick with. No Doomfist to come in for the Afreeca Freecs, and Hureg, he's the one-man army. GC
Oh,
Busan
wow.
and
Prophet takes out Recry without even having to dive in. Usually with the Doomfist, we expect them to dive the enemy high ground. They don't even need to do that. This is already over. They've already got both DPS dead.
Yep, smashed them out, and you can see Hureg actually, he just got rid of the Diva from that fight, jumps in round the back, pushes her out with the rocket punch, no defense, and this is a real quick cap for
Watch
GC
the
Busan.
replay. You never expect Recry to go down on the opposing high ground without a dive from the Doomfist, a dive from the Winston. They don't even need to do that, Atlas. Insane opening flicks onto Recry. Win the first attack for GC Busan.
Prophet now actually getting taken down low, but should be absolutely fine, has that biofield. Hureg charging up towards that first Meteor Strike. We got 70% almost for Prophet. Transcendence almost done here as well. Looking the side of Afreeca Freecs. A little bit lower as far as that ult charge is concerned. And look at this street space, man. It is real quick as Tydolla jumps forward, and I feel like we had similar problems in our first series as far as disconnects between frontline and backline.
This is exactly the point where having a rookie Winston comes in. Whenever we watch Overwatch, we know how it goes. The car gets to a certain point, and in comes the crescendo of a Winston diving in with his Diva, with his team. Tydolla jumped in, hit the street sign, and died alone. And you need to be better than that at this level, and unfortunately they weren't. Let's see for the second dive here, as Tydolla only now is about to get into position. Requires Tac Visor.
Yep, 3 meters away actually. This is a really great place to fight if they can get there. Hureg's going to kill Tydolla once again though as Ahan, yeah, gets nano boosted with his Dragon Blade as well.
Gets nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. It's going to be a boot kill for Closer onto Ahan. IDK is going to fall as well, and it's just once again the killing fields, man. It's real disaster for the Afreeca Freecs as point B was almost as easy as point A. Prophet is looking just terrifying. That big smile on his face. If I was an Afreeca fan, I would not enjoy the sight of that one bit.
And when we saw Gesture in the past, that was where the other casters coined the Eco Leap, coined the poor Winston Leaps relatively. He's been a lot more on point than Tydolla in this series. The DPS were already strong players. They suffer a single loss. They back away. Coordination has been significantly better for Busan. The Freecs still have ultimates, but a huge time bank for GC Busan.
Yeah, 5 minutes, 10 seconds. The point of saying it. GC Busan now looking to get this flanking high ground move.
There's no rush.
Yeah.
Looking to drop down aggressively here rather than goes just through the tunnel, which is smart. It forces Afreeca Freecs to pull back, because if they get aced here, the map's over.
In goes Tydolla yet again, but that means that GC Busan just throw down the sound barrier. It looks like their coordination working out very well, and nothing to be found with the self-destruct. Prophet throws down the ult and actually has to run into the house, so that is exactly not what you want to do. And Recry is able to grab one more. Tydolla eventually falls down with the end of the Tac Visor, and Recry is getting a little bit more done, but they have, exactly right, lost those supports. Closer, still keeping people topped up on GC Busan despite losing Gesture, and Ariel is going to get popped out of the mech, so no frontline now for GC Busan. Can Afreeca Freecs re-establish control? And it looks like it there. But look, 4 minutes to go, and they were basically finished on the side of GC Busan.
Yeah, but to credit Afreeca Freecs, GC Busan used a lot to find no meterage, find a meter or two. They will have to try another attack. All they have is the Doomfist ultimate to occupy space. Transcendence also will be available, but that's a success. That's a minute 20 bought by the Afreeca Freecs. They just need to do it 2 more times, and that's really where the struggle comes in.
Yeah. Okay, Hureg looking for some sort of flank, as they have been getting creatively in to the backline here on Numbani. I'm liking it as Hureg punches out the front line. Big uppercut. Hureg gets rid of Tydolla so quickly. Transcendence there as well. We mentioned that was one of their ultimates that they had available, and it may have actually given them enough to make work happen here. Prophet gets rid of Lucid, and look at this. Kills are coming through thick and fast for GC Busan as they're just piloting this payload towards the finish line. 3 minutes 20 is on the clock, and now they're looking to take down the stragglers, and there it is. GC Busan, huge time bank, massively impressive Numbani first round. We have to remember, this was the Afreeca Freecs' choice, and they honestly just got dumpstered.
I hate to say I told you so, but unfortunately, once again, not having Breck in the lineup meant that there was really nothing convincing about the contests on defense happening by the Afreeca Freecs. You see them looking not too worried about the situation, but they're already up against it. Very nice time bank. And what I want to reward GC Busan for doing is, you mentioned, oh, they're dropping down from the high ground. That's different. They're coming around the left on attack. That's different. Ty Dollar would only have seen a few different approaches on this map. He couldn't have been scrimming as Winston for that long. Why not change the battlefield where possible to go from different times, to avoid the same timings that he's used to? And as a not veteran tank player, as a new one, he looked a bit exposed when they kept rolling the dice in different fashion.
Yeah, and when he was playing tank as well, he was playing Diva most of the time. There were smatterings of Winston here and there, but it was few at best, and it was more back when he was playing on Afreeca Red rather than his most recent performances on that of the Rocks Orcas. So, definitely worrying. Wonder whether Lucid's going to do it. Definitely not. IDK is probably not going to be playing McCree either, as the quad DPS double tank comp from Afreeca Freecs.
Remember, in
Standard
Korea,
attack.
we have the DPS on the left of the team and the supports on the right. So if you see the right side being McCree and...
Are you saying that the right side's wrong right now?
Yes, it was. But we'll see some adjustments. It still could be triple DPS on attack from Afreeca Freecs, but that would involve Ty Dollar, you imagine. Going for something a bit different for now. They're going a bit more standard. Going to be, once again, the Soldier and the Genji, but they cannot allow themselves to be out-traded like they were on defense.
Yeah, and you have to remember, GC Busan, huge time bank, 317 now in their back pocket, and every bit of time that they hold on to is so much pressure on the Afreeca Freecs.
Arhan arming up that Dragon Blade. That usually takes a bit of time, but if you can get a dash reset, that'd be big. They managed to chase away at least the first tick or so from GC Busan.
Yeah, very, very close. I'm not sure whether they've actually locked it in. Now they do. Recry is taking a bit of free damage. Prophet gets rid of the mech there as well, so a lot of that defensive opportunity that they have. And Arhan takes down Gesture with help of the Discord Orb, which is so, so important. Landing that one, certainly looking good. Lucid has been a fantastic player for the Afreeca Freecs for quite some time, as Hureg just gets rid of Recry. So nothing Lucid could do to try and help him there, but Arhan's going to at least get some payback, as we're very close to #1 Dragon Blade.
And a boost already used here. Try and buy some time, doesn't get much though.
Yeah, the boosted Diva Mech takes down Ty Dollar very, very quickly. And I like boosted Diva Mech.
Arhan has been on a solo mission. It's his 4th kill of the map so far, but his team has fallen around him, so they still haven't got the full claim. As Recry has a nice angle on Tac Visor. Gonna get pushed away by the Winston though.
Yeah, it was nice use of the backhand. They're looking to still sit themselves onto this point. Self-destruct flies forward. Double, yeah, exactly. Lucid and Arhan are going to fall down, and now Prophet, his desperation flies through, but Recry is going to say no to that. Gets rid of the rest of the DPS in Hureg as well, and that is going to be point A, captured by the Afreeca Freecs. One ultimate remains with Sound Barrier available for IDK, so investing a lot, and it was pretty scrappy. They still managed to lock that one down.
And by the end, it became about time bank management. It became about buying as much time as possible, attacking point A that often on Numbani is just taken down on first attack, like we saw from GC Busan. Frustrated a little bit longer with the Freecs, and if they can get another stall on the streets phase, that'd be massive for Busan.
Yeah, here's the jump in from Jester as well. Actually gets Recry around the corner, so he can't affect that back line, but still he's able to take down Prophet somehow with a Helix Rocket. Not entirely sure how that happened, and Gesture says, well, I want to try and kill someone. I'm going to jump on the whole backline if I can, as Hureg is going to do the same. Lucid falls down. That Meteor Strike doing a bunch of work, but Ty Dollar finally able to get some answering kills now. The Afreeca Freecs continue this attack onslaught in the street space.
The front line is down, that's why they can chase down the Zenyatta. Hagapun goes down. That Fear reform here from GC Busan. Nice little street space action there from the Afreeca Freecs.
Can they reform enough to get some sort of hold here before point B? I'm not sure whether they can.
Closer dying last is big because he can't ferry everyone in. They will get a contest at the last, so it will not just be free sailing.
Yeah, meter 0.5 actually on that one, as the Afreeca Freecs do take down Gesture very quickly. They should be able to push this one through. Yeah, Recry gets rid of the Diva and Hureg to boot. This should be fine. Cute little flanking play, actually, to come in from the Afreeca Freecs.
4 minutes 40. Still a very healthy time bank for the Afreeca Freecs to attack with. They are able to get it in the next push or two. Would at least be within distance of what GC Busan was able to put together. And Busan don't necessarily have the most put together. They will have 2 support ultimates in just a moment, though.
Yeah. Remember, time bank battle, so a minute on the clock to try and even that one out. Hureg's going to be able to take down IDK. This could be important. Lucid's invested the Transcendence into this fight, but Hureg, he just flat out doesn't care. Recry's going to go down. Lucid, straight after that ultimate's done, he meets himself waiting for the cooldown timer before he can get back into the fight. So Prophet also answering, and they're trying to get staggered kills. They're doing very, very well at it as well, as Ty Dollar dies much later than the first kill in that fight. The Afreeca Freecs regrouping.
It's really aggressive from Prophet, looking for a pulse bomb on one of the respawning members. We could get one onto Recry, it'd be massive. Sound barrier invested by GC Busan, the second support ultimate.
Yeah, Recry actually didn't even see that there was Prophet hanging around. Seems relatively ignored, but being pretty stalwart as far as holding onto this one. Does find a pulse bomb, but not a stick.
Consider how far away from the cart they were fighting. Only now they get back onto it, and Ty Dollar's already dead, so you can notice they're going to start to back away.
Yeah, Closer actually takes down Lucid there as well, so missing a lot of the support cast here for the Afreeca Freecs. GC Busan answering so nicely, and I feel like we're just going to move back towards point B, as the control that GC Busan have had has been pretty absolute for the last minute.
And they were able to chain the first Transcendence answering Lucid into the sound barrier. Transcendence available again. They're being spawn camped here. The Afreeca Freecs, it means they can't even get position on the cart. Now we're already 30 seconds or so into a time bank advantage for GC Busan, and there's probably still 2-1 team fights left for the Afreeca Freecs before they can continue to finish the map.
Oh, and Ahan's actually starting to look tilted, to be honest. Papa Smithy switches over to the Doomfist, immediately gets obliterated by Prophet. It cannot make you feel good. They get a mech as well as Hureg. He's having a field day. You saw the look on the face of Prophet, and he's playing like that sort of player. The player that he's been winning so easily, that he's playing aggressive, playing so confident, and it looks brilliant. Ahan trying once again, but he's not going to be able to one-punch a Winston. And honestly, this is looking real scary for Afreeca Freecs fans, as Recry trying to find something back as he takes down Prophet.
But he needs to use Tac Visor basically next to spawn just to get them on the card. 2 minutes of spawn camping means the time bank is already great, but Ty Dollar takes down Gesture. They want to get a free push now.
Yep, Hureg pays a visit back to the last point. And look, they know that this is a flanking play that they used around the back end of the point. They're not going to let that one happen again. It's Hureg setting up shop in case anyone wants to come around that corner, as we are getting close. 1.5 minutes comes in as there's GC Busan throwing down the sound barrier. They want to make sure that they can hold on here, but Ahan is able to pick one up onto Prophet. So much of the damage now missing as IDK gets rid of Hureg. No more damage there now as Afreeca Freecs. Can they get it the rest of the way? Oh my goodness, okay, a lot of damage coming out from the self-destruct as it manages to get the mech as well. Important stuff as they are respawning, getting back towards this point. Recry with the Tac Visor does find a few of these kills, and Ahan finally making the Doomfist look like one of his heroes.
I love Recry's positioning, always at an angle where you cannot get tanks and also the soldier when you're down, so they're just pushing the car. It's a free push.
Oh, very close. Good boop off, and the Winston denied getting onto that point. It's nowhere near the time bank that GC Busan had, but Afreeca Freecs are going to make sure that this one goes the distance.
It's going to be a minute, I believe, for the Afreeca Freecs, so we will see them attack again. Took more than one attack for them to claim point A. Going to need to be cleaner on this particular approach. So still job done by GC Busan, not complete. They don't go into the break 2-0 yet, but they are in a favorable position as we return to our second phase of attacks between GC Busan and Afreeca Freecs.
I feel like Afreeca Freecs were warming up as the end of that one came in as well, because getting spawn camped to then decisive play after decisive play to get them onto that point and cap that one out is very impressive, because there was time to regroup for GC Busan, but they were unable to get themselves an established move onto that point. So well played by Afreeca Freecs, despite rough times during the middle of that attacking run.
No sign of any adjustments for this attack from the Afreeca Freecs. Seems like Arhan will be once again going on his famous Genji. See what Busan want to do. They started with a Doomfist on defense last time as well, so far so good.
Yeah, and Hureg, you heard him talking a bunch of smack. He's more than happy just to play Doomfist only. Pretty sure that he's the OP right now.
I mean, if you remember, he said, I'll make you change onto your Genji, and that part has happened, but it seems like it was a strategic Genji rather than necessarily a cowering in fear Genji swap.
Yeah, because the Doomfist did come in towards the end, and Arhan was able to finally pick up some form of kills. As in goes Tydola once again. Is he going to get taken out, though, is the question. They're trying to heal him back up. Lucid there as well with the Orb of Harmony, but Prophet being denied that high ground position by low ground Recry. Just getting the attacks in there. You can see winning as far as getting those shots in. And Arhan wants to take him down.
No picks yet, but low health bars for GC Busan. They get Recry, so it is 5v5 action now with both Doomfists getting into it.
Yeah, Hureg actually falling down, a little bit over-aggressive on that dive, but Closer wins the Lucio battle. Getting a boop onto IDK.
Huge biotic grenade from Ana was enough to answer them, and Prophet close to the ultimate. Let's give him the nano boost, allow him to push forward. Is there even going to be contest? No.
Nope, absolutely not. That's going to be the hold. I believe there was at least a tick there for the Afreeca Freecs, but unfortunately I wasn't looking hard enough because I wasn't expecting that for it to end right there. I thought that they'd be able to stay on that point, but no, unable to get there. Damn, GC Busan making it look pretty easy, and now they just need one coordinated push to get just over that first couple of ticks.
The number is 1, though, and I think the one punch of Doomfist was what was lacking. I think when you're attacking in that phase, not being confident enough to run Doomfist, who can in a blink of an eye get a single pick. It takes so much longer for Genji, who we saw chasing down Soldier but not killing Soldier, whereas Hureg turned around, got the opening pick onto Recry, and that was really the impetus for GC Busan to close out the attack. We can see that it's just going to be about 67%, or 2 ticks is the goal for GC Busan with 3.5 minutes, 30 seconds less than starting time bank. So a big advantage there for GC Busan. A lot to ask for from Afreeca Freecs, but dissuaded from the Doomfist. I think they would have been running if Control had gone more kindly to the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah. It's just a little bit sad because I was excited about watching Arhan this season. I was excited about his potential Doomfist play, and it hasn't been the same as players like OneFact, who made that transition so beautifully from Genji player to Doomfist player. Hureg looking great as well as decisively slamming his way around.
Attack and defense will be the same combination for Afreeca. They won't be running the Ana, even though Lucid is a famous Ana player. Was one of the reasons they got so much better in Season 3 was his Ana, as this time Arhan can go aggressively and they take out Zenyatta.
Yeah, remember 3 minutes on the clock though. Much larger time bank to get 2 ticks on this first point, and they have actually evened it out. So Prophet going to be able to pull one back. Gesture as well gets rid of the mech, and this could be important. See what they can actually make happen as Hureg is going to be denied. So Arhan grabs that kill. There's the mech gone at the same time. So Afreeca Freecs actually getting fantastic follow-up kills as Arhan taking everything out and the forced reset comes in. GC Busan will try again.
Opening kill, gets the mech, chases down more members, and holds on to the Dragon Blade. Better than expected from Arhan on his famous Genji, this time on defense. Nothing used by GC Busan, but not an ideal eco push either, given that Hagopun and Closer not in any way about to pick up their ultimates, about halfway there.
He's one hell of an ult charge builder, this Arhan character. Doing very, very well. We'll see when he's actually going to use it. They're looking for the tick up. In he goes. So Dragon Blade comes in, but is he going to get denied? He's taking a lot of damage and doesn't find the first reset on the dash. So closing distance is hard, and he can't actually get any kills. He's taken out. It's a double, actually, for the Zenyatta, and the kills are coming through thick and fast. GC Busan looking so, so good to take it down and get to match point. They're starting to tick this one up. First tick done. Second tick will be that 2-0 and match point now available for GC Busan. It's honestly been a fairy tale for our challenger teams tonight, Papa Smithy.
And we saw the best and worst of Arhan's Genji in a single round. On the first round, with no ultimate, gets the maximum value, then sees the enemy soldier, dives onto him, ignores the fact that D.Va is there with the defense matrix open, gets booped back, gets nothing out of the ultimate and dies. Needed to be better, was better than expected without the ultimate, then it was unfortunately a bit of the old meme of him slashing air, and we've seen that a couple of times tonight. And sadly, or happily, depending on who you are, if you're a fan of change, the winds of change are coming through Apex, like you say, Atlas, because we already had Hongdu Unsea eliminated in our first series, and it's been the same result for the challenger teams. Both the Foxes and Busan go into the first break, 2-0 up.
Yeah, and there's big questions for this particular series because we talk about Doomfist, we talk about Winston, and they are such huge heroes in this series just because Ty Dolla struggling so much, Gesture actually having some of the key plays so far for GC Busan. Now moving themselves into match point, we are going to be going towards Assault. Not sure whether that is going to help or hinder that of the Afreeca Freecs because GC Busan have put up fights on that particular map. We are going to have a short break, so thankfully the teams are going to be able to sit down, reassess themselves, get that headspace sorted, especially if they're Afreeca Freecs, because, man, drawing boards need to be revisited now before we head into match point for GC Busan. It's a really big problem. So, guys, we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, match point, GC Busan.
에너지가 필요한 순간 핫식스와 함께 핫하게 즐겨라. 올여름 가장 핫한 리그 오버워치 핫식스 에이펙스.
Game, record, and stream without compromise.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Apex Season 4, and I feel like I'm saying this a lot this evening, and that is that no, it's not a typo. In fact, GC Busan are up 2-0 over the Afreeca Freecs. Happened the same time. NC Fox is also up 2-0 over Kongdo Onsia and were able to close out the series, and now match point lies in the hands of the challenger team yet again.
Yeah, it's blinking you might miss it stuff here at Apex when it comes to some of these big names making it out of the groups. They decided so quickly. We had Luxury Watch Blue pull out. We've had the 3 match days a week, and you blink and suddenly the tournament life is at stake, and this is not how it was supposed to go for the Afreeca squad, who went perfect until they were toppled by Lunatic High in the Season 3. Them ending out in groups, even losing Mano, their captain, would be a massive shock.
Yeah, it really, really is. And they have some big names. They have some strong players, and we saw some great play from Recry especially. This guy's trying to put the team on his back, and now they're the ones that have to choose which assault map we are going to be heading to.
Usually it's Volskaya for them, but Temple of Anubis is going to be the selection. Another common pick when it comes to Apex. Seen them so many times on Volskaya, but it'll be different. And remember, the reverse sweep, if it's to happen, will include Escort, that we've only ever seen twice from them when they weren't forced to pick it themselves.
Yeah, I actually like Temple of Anubis here for the Afreeca Freecs. I think it smiles a little bit more on the likes of Genji, so that Ahan can feel some comfort moving in there. Recry getting some good angles at the same time, potentially.
Formerly Afreeca Freecs Blue, now the Afreeca Freecs have always made it out of groups. Season 1, runners-up, of course, and from there, they have always made it out of groups. This would be another huge surprise if Recry, Arhan, and friends aren't able to do it. If the reverse sweep is to happen, it will begin on Temple of Anubis.
Yep. Going to Egypt to see whether or not GC Busan can make it a 3-0. We'll see whether it happens, or whether Afreeca Freecs start the road home. Whoa. Well, that is definitely desperation, but also just the amount of Afreeca Freecs fans, because this is such an established team. You just finished saying it, Papa, and it would be so surprising to see them knocked out here. GC Busan are going to be starting off as your defending team. They've actually opted in for this pseudo triple DPS, with the Sombra being picked up by Hagupyeon, and we know that he does like to do it every now and again, but this is a cute way to start things off to begin with, especially with the short range. And you know, Sombra's a little bit more able to threaten from longer.
Sombra's been such a different beast, though, in Season 4 after defining the meta in Season 3. We do see sometimes these supports flexing over. We saw it in our first set, but was one of the first to die. Took a Doomfist rocket punch to the face, and we know how that goes for a squishy hero like the Sombra. Yeah. Recry could open into the Widowmaker, but another option is to go the way of the Pharah, so we'll be a pharmacy, and it feels like Recry is feeling the Pharah today.
Yeah, it's Pharah plus the Genji, so a lot of projectile DPS happening this game. Nahan gets himself onto the point very, very quickly, trying to buy space, using that dash to get himself up as high as possible. Ariel takes down Lucid to start things off, which is a bit of a disaster for the Afreeca Freecs. They're losing both of their DPS very quickly. It feels like just a matter of time before this one's cleaned up, but look at the stagger that's available here for GC Busan.
I mean, the best news story is they actually got the mech out from Ariel, because if they hadn't, he would have just stood on the health packs from Hagupyeon, and he would already have the EMP available, even though he is 86% away anyway, as Gesture was able to do what I was mentioning.
Yep, actually looking to jump in around the back here as well, charge out that EMP pretty easily. Up to about 95%, so he should be fine. Arhan does pick up a kill under closer though, so nicely done. Gets that dash in, and you can see only 45%. It's not a classic Arhan players. There's a big EMP on this roof to start off, but he's going to sacrifice himself. The answering kills are there from Afreeca Freecs, despite Tydola falling along with Arhan.
That was really weird. He didn't snap back, as we almost always see after the EMP.
Doesn't seem to matter, though.
Rest of his team will do the job. Thought he could have gotten out, but didn't matter, like you say. Hagupyeon able to do the cleanup. Picks up the health packs, they back away. EMP, the only thing invested, will come back from spawn with 50% charge anyway. Such is the way of Sombra.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's dead, and yet still gets 50%, no worries.
Torbjorn turret's the same, but don't see Torbjorn much in competitive, and we certainly have seen plenty of Sombra in the past.
Yep. Prophet being frustrating once again, as Recry is going to be the one to switch over to the Doomfist. It's looked a little bit better than that of Arhan. But Pulse Bomb flies through, Prophet doesn't find any joy. Not even going to get any mech damage or anything like that either, as Seismic Slam gets Recry over to the side, looking to go aggressive.
Because Arhan's been a role player so far, chasing people down, doesn't have his first Dragon Blade 2.5 minutes in.
Oh god, he's the one that starts up this fight, but I don't know whether he wanted it. It's like they punched the big kid at school, and he just went nuts, beat the crap out of them, and look at GC Busan cleaning up Afreeca Freecs yet again. We could be looking at some sort of hold right here, Papa Smithy. I don't want to say the full hold words, but it's only a minute and a half remaining for that to be a reality for GC Busan.
I mean, there's two results, right? It's a full hold or it's just a regular hold. There's no other type of hold when it comes to two-point capture, and I agree, you never want to speak about something that is so unlikely, especially in the matchup to happen, but it's looking more and more likely. Still plenty available. There's the aggressive EMP usage off screen. We're watching Arhan, who's had this role play role so far, just trying to chase down solo people, but the action's happening off screen around Arhan.
And it's almost like we were going back to spawn camping again. Papa, how is it that the Afreeca Freecs, the team that went on such an incredible streak, are getting honestly schooled by GC Busan?
I wish we had the reason in this tournament, but they left. It's not red-handed in Luxury Watch Blue's play here, because we didn't get to watch that team with Mono play. There's no Mono this season for Afreeca Blue, and it's certainly hurting them.
Well, we're investing everything on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. Sound Barrier comes in after the Dragon Blade, but nothing to be found off that one at all. Hurek just running around, and Prophet is going to get the first kill in this fight. Tydola punched into no man's land and destroyed, but Afreeca Freecs finally finding some kills back. It took Arhan not having the Dragon Blade to actually finally get himself in a good position. But we're ticking down, approaching overtime on the first point of Temple of Anubis. Recry all the way back. But they are finally ticking this one up. Overtime is now gained. But thankfully, they're going to be able to get the cap, and they've got 4 minutes to cap point B as well.
Yeah, the last time of asking, they don't have any snowball ultimates either in Recry, who had to move over to the Widowmaker. Farah, when it comes to point A, here at least can just come and use the barrage on point B, but not the same value from the Widowmakers. That's why we see the Tracer swap, and like you say, only 4 minutes to make this work.
Yeah, we've got an EMP for Hagopyeon as well, as self-destruct is now being gained. Freecs looking to try and get themselves in there as the remake is available for Kalios and successfully does so. Lucid doing some work, and Tidal finally finding some success on his dive-ins. Hureg taken out, and that's real important. Freecs may be able to get some sort of snowball as there's a Dragon Blade available yet again. And Ahan's going to be able to get rid of the mech first. Can he get any more kills? Yes! As it is going to be the Diva finished off, but Hureg comes back in, and he's out for blood now. Gesture as well with a Primal Rage.
They're trading down. They're trading down. They're going to be forced away. These ultimates from Ahan just aren't getting the 2 to 3 person value that justifies the long time spent farming the Dragon Blade. See Kalios frustrated, just has to push up. Didn't quite see how much ultimate charge he had, but do pick it up pretty fast here when it comes to the remake charge. They'll probably be chased down eventually.
Yeah, hanging out. Doesn't mind too much whether he dies, but you can see run it up left, the X6 strategy that was made famous.
Okay, he got the mech back.
Yeah, nicely done.
So he had 84%, so surprised Busan didn't feel confident enough to push out and kill him.
Well, Recry is going to get himself a pulse bomb. We'll see whether he can make that effect the start of this next fight, as Hagopyeon does have EMP. Sound barrier does come in as GC Busan looking for this fight. The flank now available. The Sombra gets himself in there. Does still hold on to that EMP though.
It's just a snap back, didn't want to use an ultimate in that case.
Well, finally does throw it down. Whether they can actually find enough value is the question. Lucid does fall though, both DPS are dead. Hureg having a field day once again, and closer. I want to see his frag listings, man, because this guy's getting kills on this battle, Lucio.
When you see the health totals after one fight like that, you know that Hagopyeon will be able to pick up ult charge on the back end as well. That's kind of the most demoralizing thing about losing to a Sombra comp on 2-point capture. You know, inevitably you'll be against most of an EMP next time, and not the Talon comp, but it will be Recry on the Reaper anyway, looking for an attack. Able to get him onto the points. That's a start. Let's see if they can get some ult percentage.
Yeah, with a minute 22 or something like that, they should be able to get at least one Death Blossom available. Not sure whether it's going to quite be enough though, as they're starting to tick this one up. Prophet finds the bomb onto Ahan though, and losing your Doomfist, that is a big problem for the Afreeca Freecs. And see that? Immediately backing out. And the mech is going to die as well. I mean, look at this, staggered kills left, right, and center.
Prophet's fragging out.
He's a nut, man. I don't know what he's been eating for breakfast this morning, but dang, I want some of that. Because he's playing out of his mind.
Eating superstars on the Afreeca Freecs, that's what he's doing, getting
it's
his
Michael's
KDA.
Secret stuff, you know, that's what it is.
Something like that. He's
Back
just,
to Space Jam.
His KDA is going to be looking very impressive on Winston's lab afterwards, we'll say that much at least. Afreeca Freecs have one more go of it, and they don't really have too much to show for it. Sound barrier will have to begin. If they get a Meteor Strike squish onto someone. But an EMP might answer it all, and, well, a fist will too.
Yep, doesn't seem to really matter. Hureg gets the pick that they're looking for. Insta-kill onto Lucid. He knows the angles. It's exactly what he was saying. I mean, we said that he had to walk the walk and talk the talk, and dang, this walk has looked smooth from this Doomfist as GC Busan 5 ultimates at the ready, soon to be 6. And that's going to be EMP going down to start off this bloodbath, and it is most certainly that. Recry dies so quickly, and they're getting kills everywhere. Hureg making his way back in with the Meteor Strike. And that's just to re-establish position on this point. The mech needs to be trying to hold on, but look at this. It's the overtime. It is ticking down, and it's not likely that Afreeca Freecs are going to get any meterage at all on this, the final point of Temple of Anubis.
Arhan taken down. Still going to be a couple more staggers, but this is the big moment for GC Busan.
Yep, can they do it? Can they get rid of all of these stragglers? And it looks like it. Look at these kills. Massive performance from GC Busan. Overtime on point A, and then no progress, point B.
Surreal. Surreal is the way I feel as we get to the tail end of what feels like the end of a pretty triumphant day for the new players, for the new stars here in Apex. Afreeca Freecs, I did not expect to be joining Hongdu Onsia out of Apex, but that's the reality, and no one there is shedding any tears yet. No one there has admitted that it's over, but it feels like it's over, Atlas. It feels like GC Busan are going to be crowned as a second-place team, and LW Red, GC Busan, Rox Orcas, and Afreeca Freecs. We all looked at the group. I think all the fans looked at the group, and you know what the word was that came to mind? Soft group
It
for
felt
Afreeca.
like the Afreeca Freecs group, man.
You were already looking to the future and saying, well, if these are the teams they have to beat, they're probably going to come in without enough practice by then. That was the criticism in Season 3, was they didn't face real opposition till they were taken out in straight sets in the semifinals. They reached real opposition a lot earlier than they might have expected. And this could be the cruelest of exits for one of our most famous squads in Korean Overwatch.
We do have to caveat, though, the fact that GC Busan was second to LW Red, both of the teams on a tear towards the end of the season.
Afreeca Freecs Blue was second to what? You would say definitely Lunatic High and Kongdu Panthera, but they were on the same wavelength as, say, Luxury Watch Blue, for example. When it came to power, certainly top 5 if you want to be overly critical. There's usually a big jump between those two, but the meta changes a little bit. The Doomfist is brought in, and it ended up being a prophecy by Hureg in that pre-match interview. Afreeca Freecs have tried other strategies and also rolled the dice on the Doomfist, and Doomfist just reigns supreme.
Well, Afreeca Freecs are going to do the same thing here. They've got Lucid on the Sombra. No Doomfist this time, as Ahan is going to be back on his Genji. And if they're going to bow out, you probably want to do it with that one, as Ahan picks up Prophet, just stabs him in the face.
It's time for Superman Arhan. This guy represented Korea last year. He has been their star. They have built around him so many times, and it'll feel good to at least flex his muscles once.
Yep.
Just delays GC Busan's attack, of course.
Yeah, Prophet's going to be able to get in here pretty quickly as Recry up on this high ground getting some work done, but he has to deal with that Tesla gun, and that is not a heck of a lot of fun times. Prophet now finally able to get a kill instead of getting killed.
It's Ty-Dollar, predictably, unfortunately.
Oh, look at this. The death building itself. Sureg was charging up that rocket punch. No one, though, wanted to go in as Ahan. He's going to fall down to the monkey gesture with the Goomba Stomp. And is this enough space bought by GC Busan to get a quick cap? Question could be answered there with the kill onto IDK. They're sitting on this point now. Looks like the Afreeca Freecs are going to buckle in to point B.
Waiting to see if there's a last-second contest, but finally there is. Tracer jumps on, but Recry dies instantly. A nominal one, and it's just a single tick, Atlas. That's all it will take for GC Busan to claim their rightful spot in the next round based on this performance.
Well, Lucid is going to get the EMP off. Translocates back again, but look at that, the instant disengage.
Nothing to pair it with. Arhan doesn't have Dragon Blade. He died second on the first attack, so ult used, nothing gained. Not even some health bars to heal up.
Alright, Hureg in trouble. Ahan throws some shurikens into him, but mostly for ult charge, and does get a fair bit of it there as well. Close to 90% now for Ahan.
Transcendence to answer a blade, and Afreeca Freecs have to move now, otherwise it's just over.
Yeah, have to get onto this point. It is so damn close. GC Busan getting the first kill in this fight at the same time. You have to stay on the point now, Afreeca Freecs. This is your Apex Season 4 lives on the line, but no, GC Busan smashing them now. They've just formed themselves as a team into a fist, and they are smashing Afreeca Freecs apart, and that is it. It's all over. 3-0. GC Busan over the Afreeca Freecs. Unlikely victory, but man, it's a fairy tale, and they complete it. Twice in a row, the challenger teams come out victorious, and GC Busan, other teams will be fearing these guys because that was a schooling.
One team must rise for another team to fall, and the fallen team tonight will be the Afreeca Freecs. They lost Mano, and we thought they would regroup around Breck, but Breck wasn't even playing in their final set. They preferred a new Winston player, a role swap, a true flex, like you say, on other teams. He'd played D.Va, he'd played the DPS, the Genji most famously, but it was a tough ask, and he played all 3 games, so I think the questions have to go to Tyrong a little bit, the coach of the Afreeca Freecs, to prefer Ty-Dollar over a main tank player is a real big head scratcher. Maybe the scrims was suggesting it, but when your backs are against the wall, you roll the dice a couple of different ways. Recry playing Doomfist, lots of hero swaps, hit scan into projectile for a lot of these players. all the swaps didn't work. They weren't able to cement any sort of a foundation. And GC Busan came through pretty unscathed. It ended up being a pretty straightforward series for GC Busan. And this is a date you have to mark in your calendar, 1st of September 2017, because it feels like Apex changes from now. We lose Afreeca, we lose one of the Kongdu teams, and we see new teams rise that very little was known about before the season started.
Yeah, and Round of 8 is actually starting to look extremely exciting with GC Busan now qualifying out of this group alongside LW Red, two teams that haven't seen Apex further than round of 16 for a long time. So NC Foxes as well, absolutely fantastic out of a different group, but that's 3 challenger teams already marked in, and that is with MVP Space coming out top of their group as well. We might still have Lunatic High, but it might be another change up there.
We're going to have a group
Exciting
draw
times.
show in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be a lot of new faces out. There's not going to be a lot of the old faces. Arhan and the Afreeca Freecs have never been eliminated in the group stage. Today is the first time ever after being Season 1 runners-up, after that 15-0 streak in Season 3. Those matter for nothing in Season 4, and we have new heroes now in GC Busan, Prophet in particular, a superstar. Over the course of this one, Hureg was the better Doomfist as well, and they were just controlled, they were just consistent, and that's not what we saw from Afreeca Freecs.
Yep, Hureg also putting his money where his mouth was. He called the 3-0. He was right. And look, I was looking at that and I'm like, oh, you know, all of these trash talk videos, it's all going to be the same stuff. Everyone's just going to try and talk some smack where they can, and GC Busan weren't looking like the favorites moving in here. Look, I'm happy to be proven wrong here by GC Busan.
And we have to remember the specter of Overwatch League does hang over us. We may not see these Afreeca Freecs players again in Apex. Remember, they're going to have the signing period. Lunatic High is picking up another 6 players. A lot of players will go on to the Overwatch League. This might be the end of the chapter for the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah? Yeah, I'm going to have a look at it. Hureg,
of course,
understandably going to pick this one up.
Watch here, we didn't catch all of this play, but his Doomfist was cleaner. We went for a first set where Afreeca Freecs were just playing the Sombra. They played no Doomfist in the first set. Then the second set, Arhan was playing it, didn't convince, was out Doomfisted by Wicked on the day. Now also by Hureg. It's just the reality we live in. No more Afreeca Freecs, no more Kongdu Uncia in Apex Season 4 after today. Welcome to the new Kings, NC Foxes and GC Busan.
And we were expecting today to be relatively fast, but I was honestly expecting it to be relatively fast with the W's in the other column. To be honest, Kongdu Uncia and Afreeca certainly the favorites you'd expect moving into this, given the pedigree and given their lineage here in Apex. So happy to see NC Foxes because they have the best icon in the entire league, and that going out in round of 16 would have been very, very sad. But we're all going to be dealing with it now, much like that Fox tells us to. And GC Busan, a team from outside of Seoul, is also another exciting prospect, plus with their massive sponsor in Air Busan.
But no more Afreeca Freecs. This brand will not be represented in the next round. GC Busan, their sponsor's so happy. Air Busan over the moon. Plane to Busan, the unlikely sequel to Train to Busan, is what I guess Afreeca Freecs will have to be taking their own horror show, or horror flight, we should say, over to sunny Busan, which is a lovely seaside city, beach city, if you're not familiar with it. But they will be joining us in the next round. Still have more great games to bring you, so now we know LW Red, GC Busan from Group C, Kongdu Panthera and the Foxes from Group B, X6 Gaming and Combox from Group D. Only remaining question is, who will be joining MVP Space? Will it be Lunatic High or Runaway from Group A?
Yeah, and Runaway may even be playing spoiler as well, as could deny MVP Space top spot potentially. But
really,
Better Athena, a bit unfortunate with their 2 losses. Better Athena, man. They lose Changshik, and he didn't have the greatest series last time around, but he felt like he meshed so much better with that team. It's just a lot of sadness here because we are saying goodbye to some big names in our Apex League for Season 4, and far earlier than I would have expected in, you know, Changshik and a lot of these players that have come across from all sorts of different teams to be on both Kongdu Uncia and the Afreeca Freecs.
I mean, in Season 3, we lost Runaway in the groups, and that was the you know, the runners-up of Season 2, and that kind of took a toll on me. But to lose so many teams, so many names, Meta Athena, Afreeca, one of the Kongdu teams, there's going to be more scalps. One of Runaway and Lunatic High. It's not going to make it out of Group A either. It's so surreal to see so much change, but so much has to be said about GC Busan and NC Foxes going from online play, shifting to the big stadium here, the big fans, and not really missing a beat, getting better under the acrimony and also the eyes, the prying eyes of the fans, rather than wilting under this challenge. So really big commendations to them, rewriting all our expectations, and now there's so much new to understand, so much new to learn, and we're going to get new stars, we're going to have new names rather than just trading on the ones who were already famous a year ago.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the fact that all of their coordination completely off when it comes to everything other than in the game. Their Overwatch so beautifully coordinated, their hands-in terrible, even their fans cheering completely off. And I love it, you know, because it feels like that's part of their brand now, because I feel like they're just committing to getting all of their timings wrong until they're playing Overwatch, and then it looks beautiful.
At the end of the day, know which side of your bread's buttered on. If you're good at the Overwatch, the hands in, the huddle, doesn't matter as much.
Flat out, no.
They're going to have some time to work on that. We're going to have, obviously, a couple of weeks before the next match day for them to play in, a group draw show for them to talk some smack. I'm ready to hear some more Hurek smack talk. He's Miro tier with his fire, and sadly, the members of Afreeca not able to back up their words this time out.
No, and I will miss Ahan. I will definitely miss Recry, just looking stoic in his chair and just killing people left, right, and center. He's a fantastic player. We've got some brilliant games still coming up, of course. That spoiler, Runaway versus Lunatic High. Season 2 finals rematch, that's going to be coming up in our next day. But ladies and gentlemen, as far as tonight, that's going to be it. Good night.